Well, hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda and we're going to be setting up my 2022 reading journal. I am so excited to set this up. I'm so excited about the way I'm going to be doing it in 2022. If you've seen any of my 2021 videos about my journal, then you know that I have just been keeping track monthly pretty much of everything that I read and the genres and all of that stuff. Well, I have a separate journal for 2022 that is just about that. That's just about each book that I read and like little comments about them. So I am not going to be keeping track of it the same way in this book. I have decided to divide things up based on the author or based on the reading challenge that it goes with for the whole year. These are just the things that I want to track. They're not specific books that are listed. There are a few spreads that do that, but overall, these are just all the different things that I want to keep track of. I am still going to be printing out the book covers for the books that I read that go in these trackers. And if I track them here, I will not be tracking them in my separate journal. That journal only holds 100 books. And I know I'm going to read more than that. So let's just get right into the first page that I'm doing. This is going to be my table of contents page, kind of. And just I'm writing down each one of the pages that I'm going to be making. And I'm also establishing my color palette for this whole journal. I wanted to stick with just a few basic colors. And for the most part, I did. There are a couple of times where I went outside of these basic colors, but for the most part, I stuck with the color scheme. I just really liked this. I got to use my ruler, but then I also just got to draw. And I'm not great at drawing. I'm not great at these bubble letters. I just did them because I used to do this all the time when I was in school. Like that was my doodle, is that I would bubble letter draw everything. So I feel like I've had a lot of practice at it. But anyway, I tried to keep some crayons out and have the crayons match the markers that I was using and just kind of keep things balanced as much as possible. I'm not great with any of that either. I don't really know colors that belong with colors. So I just went with what felt good. And I really like how this first page turned out. And then I'm going to walk you through the rest of them. The first page is going to be the beginning of the NPR challenge pages. And this one was for eye-opening reads. I left spots on here for me to put the book covers from 2013 to 2020. I didn't think that they would have 2021 ready, and they already have them done. So my plan is to use this and then maybe put my 2021 book just in a different spot. But that was the way that I created this. I just wanted this one to be kind of minimal. So I just used my ruler to trace around the boxes. I had measured out the boxes based on this size that I like to print the book covers. And so I just put a box on there for everything from 2013 to 2020. And then I just wrote eye-opening down the sides of either side and use some of the crayons to kind of color in. This is also when I learned that I can't erase the pencil marks after I have used the crayons. That I can erase it fine with the markers or the pens, but I can't erase it once I've used the crayons. So you'll see going forward, I try to erase everything before I use the crayons, and I don't always remember to do that either. But this is what this one looks like, and I really like it. This is the spread that I was most excited to work on. This is from the section of the NPR Challenge called Tales from Around the World. And I knew that I wanted it to be a 2-page spread, and I was going to try to draw, what looks like an Earth kind of, but I didn't want to worry about where the land masses really were. So I just kind of free-handed some land masses out in the middle, and then I colored everything else blue. And so we have water and we have land. I could not also figure out the colors that I should have for the land. And so I experiment with different colors of greens and browns. And I didn't also want there to be like a snowy North or South Pole, whatever that is that we're looking at here. And so I just decided that all the land was going to be a greenish brownish color, and then all the water was going to be blue, and those would be the 2 colors that I used. And so I drew this out and then colored it in, and then I trace around the books that are going to be from Tales from Around the World. And so my book covers will go on there, and they'll cover up some of the land masses, but I wanted to just go ahead and draw everything out, even if it was going to be covered up with the book cover. And then that way I can look at it the rest of the time until I finish reading those books, and then it'll get covered up. So I really, really like how this turned out. Like I said, this is one of the ones that I was really looking forward to doing, and even though I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, I really liked it, and it's one of my favorites for this journal. The next section of the NPR Challenge is a group called Family Matters. So it's all books that have to do with families, of course. And so I decided to do this one the same way. I mean, I wanted the boxes. That's going to be a theme for all the NPR challenges, is I wanted these boxes to be able to put the covers in there. And so I was trying to arrange things differently every time so that it wasn't just, every page didn't look like the page before. And I wanted to have a family on this page. However, as we have discussed, I am not an artist. And so I just drew a little stick family because I was unsure about how to draw actual people. I didn't want to spend forever trying to learn how to draw people. And again, I just used these letters that I practiced all the time when I was a kid. And so it's been forever since I have actually written letters like this, and it was fun to just go back and do it again. And then all the coloring was fun. Just everything about this I really enjoyed. This NPR section is called Seriously Great Reads, and I really liked it because it was my first opportunity to do some doodling, and I have not done that very often in the past. So I pulled up a YouTube video and I looked at it to see give me just some book related doodles. And so I did a couple of bookshelves, I did some coffee cups, some open books, some closed books, different types of journals. I just did everything that I could find on that page that I thought I could draw, because I need it to be something easy that I can easily draw. I also, instead of writing out Seriously Great Reads and taking up all that space, I just wrote S, G, and R really big, and then just printed beside it Seriously Great Reads. So I like the way this one is done, just because of course it's different than the others. I like the pyramid way that the books are stacked up. And then I love all the doodles. I had so much fun drawing them and coloring them in, and I just really like this page. I didn't say this at first, but for the NPR challenges that we're doing in this journal, I went through and counted how many of these books I plan to read for the year, because I read 3 of them a month. And so I added up how many I thought I would read, and that's how many sections are in this book. So there's not going to be a section for every one of the NPR groups, but there will be a section for each one that I think I can read in 2022. So that's how I decided how many of them to use. And here's another spread, and I really like it. So now that we're all done with the NPR spreads for the year, this is where I'm going to keep track of the 100 best fantasy books. So I am not drawing 100 book cover spots on here. I'm actually just drawing circles. I am going to have 10 rows of 10 circles, and then every time I read a book, I will just color in a circle. This is not going to get finished this year, but I didn't want to project how many I thought I would get done, and because I'm going to keep using this journal for 2023 as well, because I'll still have plenty of space in there for trackers. My plan is to just keep this page like it is until I have finished all 100 books. So I just went through, I drew some lines to separate them where I could write 100 best fantasy books. And then I filled in with different colors. I wanted to use the colors and bring them into this spread in some kind of way. And then I had to go look and see which books I had already read and go ahead and mark those off, because I've already read quite a few books. Well, not quite a few, as you can see. But I have already read some books, and by the time January actually starts, I will be able to add in, maybe color in one or two more. So I'm excited about all of that, and I like that this is just a plain but really colorful. It's going to be super colorful when it's all done, and I can't wait to see it all finished. This spread is for my JD Robb one book a week. So at the top, I wrote one Robb a week, and all I did was make a giant list of all of the in-depth books. And since the titles are always something in-depth and that first word is the only thing that changes, that is what I wrote in each of these spaces. And so my plan is, with the colors that I have, because I love using those colors, I'm just going to mark through the books that I have read as I read them. And when I'm finished, all of them will be filled up. Now, I had more spaces than there are books right now. However, she is still publishing 2 books a year in this series. And so my plan, as long as I have this journal, is to just keep adding the new books when they come in and then marking them off as I read them. So that is how this one is set up. I really like that it is simple, but it is also going to be colorful again when it's finished, and I think that it looks really cool. I also did write "in death" down at the bottom in those bubble letters again, because all the titles say whatever the word is, in death. So that's how I decided to do that. And now it's time to track my journey to the Dark Tower. I knew that I wanted to do something that had like a tower in the background, but again, I'm not an artist. So I drew a moon in the corner, and then I just tried to draw what looked to be the edge of land, like a horizon, with a tower of some kind up there. And then I'm not going to print out all of the books again, because there are 35 books, I think, that I am reading for this, maybe more than that, I don't know. And so I needed enough space to be able to write all those down. And so I am just doing small boxes, and then in each of those boxes, I will write the title of one of the books as I read them. And so that is my plan of how I'm going to track my journey to the Dark Tower. I just wanted to use some darker colors for this because, these books are not cheery and happy, and I just wanted it to be dark. So I did the best that I could with my limited drawing skills, and this is what we have to track the journey. I loved drawing this Tamora Pierce one. All of her books have to do with knights and fighting, and almost all of them take place in what we would consider to be medieval times. And so I knew I wanted to do a sword. I thought that I could draw a sword. It's pretty simple to draw it. And so that's what I did. I just drew a sword going across both of these pages. And then I did the same thing that I did for the Dark Tower. I just drew the boxes that I'm going to write the name of her books. So I'm reading all the books in her catalog. And so I have have them all, or I have enough boxes for all of them here. And as I complete a book, I will write its name in the box. I wanted some color on this page, so I did use my same color scheme with those really bright colors for her name. And that's it. I can't wait to see this all filled up and to finish her catalog. I have loved her books so far. Okay, getting down to our next to the last page, this is where I'm going to track my Stephen Graham Jones catalog read through. I wanted a place to be able to just write the names of the books as I read them. He has quite a few books that are out of publication, or you can get them, but they're like hundreds of dollars to try to get copies of them. And so I will probably not be reading those, as well as he has a ton of short stories. And whenever you look at his bio, it always says that he's written 25 or 30-ish books. Like, he doesn't even say how many books he's written, because they're not all available right now. And so I just wanted a place that didn't lock me into a certain number of books, and I wanted to be able to keep going as he kept writing. And so one of the things that I wanted to do also was showcase the horror of it. And so I drew a butcher knife, a hatchet, and it's not a hatchet. What is it? It's a butcher knife, right? And I drew a mask that looks like the mask, well, it was intended to look like the mask that Jason wears in Friday the 13th, but it does not look like that. But anyway, I love the blood running down. Like, that's my favorite part. And I did have to get a different marker because I wasn't using that color red, but I think it just makes it stand out so much more because of the color that it is. And then I will use each of the lines underneath to just write the name of the books as I read them. So I love this little spread. I love that it just gives me creepy vibes when I look at it. And so the last page and the last thing that I'm going to be tracking are the TBR changes. I want to make a note of how many books are on my want to read list on Storygraph at the beginning and the end of each month. So I've written before and after for each one of the months, but that is just so I can write down the number of how many books are on there at the beginning and how many books are on there at the end. And then the second half of the page, I just wrote monthly themes. And my plan is that there are different challenges that pop up throughout the year, and some of them involve words, some of them involve themes of some kind, and I just wanted a place where I could track, like, if I was going to do any of those. So there's room in there from January through December for me to write a color or a word or anything like that I want to like track and follow and join in with some of those other read-alongs or read-a-thons that are going on throughout the year. And I also brought in my colors. I threw in the red that I had used on the Stephen Graham Jones page because I wanted to kind of tie these two pages together. But I also had all the other colors that I've used so far in the whole spread that I wanted to include as well. Okay, that was a lot. And I am glad that it is done. And I am so excited for January 1st to get here to move into this. So I'm just going to do a quick flip through of everything. I know that the voiceover me told you about everything, but let's go back and look. Here's my cover page, eye-opening reads, Tales from Around the World, Family Matters, Seriously Great Reads, 100 Best Fantasy Books, One Robb a Week, and Journey to the Dark Tower, Tamora Pierce, Stephen Graham Jones, and my TBR changes and themes for the year. That is it. That is all the pages that I'm going to be using in this book. which means that's it, just these pages for the whole year when I used all of these for 2021. This will be 2022, and then I love that I have all of this left for future years. This is going to be my plan going forward, and I like that I'm going to have multiple years in one book. Again, I cannot wait for January the 1st to get here and to start on all of these spreads. Thank you so much for joining me and watching my journal creation for 2022. Well, for 2022. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.